Expect more. This is 6 News Weekend Edition.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Bary Roy. Imani Payne has the night off. We start with breaking news out of Houston, where a Houston Police Department sergeant was shot and killed tonight while responding to a report of some sort of a disturbance. It is still unclear exactly what that disturbance was. It happened earlier this evening before 6 o'clock. A witness said CPR was being performed on the sergeant before he was rushed to an area hospital. A handcuffed woman was seen being put in the back of a police SUV shortly thereafter. The area has been taped off as that investigation is ongoing. We will continue to follow this developing story out of Houston, where again a police sergeant has been shot and killed. We will get you back to your news headlines in just a moment, but first let's take a quick look outside at that weather. Meteorologist Bill Hecke standing by with the first look at that forecast. And Bill, it's all about sunshine, right?
It's all about sunshine, except tonight it's dark. We got nothing but light and 52 degrees, light winds, and there's about 52 degrees at Waco. Winds are 7. They're southerly now. We're going to start in the morning, middle 40s, but we'll warm rapidly, and it's going to be windy tomorrow. We'll have more in a little bit. Bary.
All right, thanks, Bill. 8 people have been displaced from their homes after 3 houses caught fire in Belton. Central Bell County Fire and Rescue received the call about 1:50 this afternoon, and it happened on Orchard Hill Drive. Firefighters arrived shortly after and found a garage fully engulfed. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and they believe all pets have been accounted for. The fire was under control by 3 o'clock this afternoon. The Red Cross is assisting those that have been displaced. A young boy from Moody who almost died earlier this summer was surprised by the men and women who saved his life. The Christners were vacationing in Corpus Christi at Padre Bali State Park Beach with the family when he nearly drowned. Friday was Damien's 8th birthday, and his parents wanted him to celebrate his big day with the men and women who made it possible because of their heroic efforts. His entire class at Moody Elementary School is invited to celebrate the day with him, and the first responders who saved him, David Christner, Damien's father, says inviting them to celebrate a day that was so close to not happening is the least that he could do.
Can't ever thank them enough. They're professionals. They obviously have been trained. They know what they're doing, and I'm glad that they can share this moment with us. They can actually see that their work has meaning and can change lives and save lives.
Damien was presented with his very own firefighter helmet with his initials in his favorite color of green. He also received a Pikachu Build-A-Bear from the Corpus Christi Medical Center. From all of us at 6 News, happy 8th birthday to you, Damien. And now, the news around Texas. A 19-year-old in San Antonio is facing several charges this evening after his girlfriend told police he carved his name into her forehead with a knife during an argument. Police say the woman also had visible injuries from being hit in the face about 10 times. Jacob Hildreth was already out on bond for 2 previous assault cases when the incident occurred. His bail has been denied. The University of Texas police are investigating a sexual assault that happened early this morning at the Jester dormitory. Police say someone assaulted a student at about 1 o'clock this morning. They said the victim and the suspect knew each other. UTPD says the most common type of sexual assault involves someone that the victim knows. Now, if you've ever had a thief steal your credit card information, you know it can give you pause every time that you head to the gas pump. Now, a new law keeps skimmer busts hidden and allows store owners to give money for law enforcement investigations. House Bill 2945 will also create a fusion center that will act as a hub for all skimmer reports in the state of Texas. It will cost taxpayers $1.2 million over the next 2 years. Then $160,000 each year after that, said Miller. Texas Agricultural Commissioner currently issues the alerts for the state.
I'm going to continue to crack down on these credit card skimmers as long as they'll let me. Somebody's going to have to make me stop.
Now, Miller may have to stop next year as gas pump inspections will move to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. A new training for unique PTSD therapy is coming to Austin. Accelerated resolution therapy is a type of psychotherapy that empowers clients to resolve traumatic memories through a combination of relaxation and memory visualization. Some of those techniques include clients following a trained therapist's hand movement with their eyes, a form of bilateral stimulation of the brain. A nonprofit interested in expanding the reach of the therapy is currently training Austin clinicians and therapists in a 3-day training session through this weekend. And the search for answers continues after the deadly shooting at a Naval Air Force base in Florida. 4 people were killed yesterday, including the gunman Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. He was a Saudi Arabian national and a pilot in training for the Saudi Air Force. The U.S. official says al-Shamrani hosted a dinner party earlier in the week to watch videos of mass shootings. The official also says a second Saudi student was recording outside that building yesterday while the shooting was happening inside. Thousands of people attended a ceremony at Pearl Harbor today to honor those killed in the Japanese attack 78 years ago. A moment of silence was held at 7:55 a.m., the same time the assault began, which launched the U.S. into World War II. The Japanese attack killed more than 2,300 U.S. troops. Among those attending today's events included about a dozen survivors, the youngest of whom are now in their late 90s.
Resolve shown by our armed forces in 1941 and 42 gave the American people a sliver of hope that our fate was not sealed, that in the case of Pearl Harbor, past was not prologue, and that the glimmers of victory had begun to emerge.
The USS Arizona still sits at the bottom of the harbor today and is a grave for more than 900 men killed in the attack. Every year, nearly 2 million people visit the White Memorial built above that ship. Well, on a much lighter note, 2 divers dressed as Santa Claus, well, they prepared a special Christmas surprise for marine life in an aquarium in Budapest. The divers put up a fully decorated Christmas tree. The 2 said they started this tradition just a few years ago. No word yet, though, if the fish have been naughty or nice this year, so we will just have to wait and see if Santa drops off presents for them. I can tell you that I think they might get a few more gifts than me from Santa. Companies like UPS and FedEx, well, they're experiencing a worker shortage during the busiest time of the year. We'll tell you why and how it just might affect the timing of your deliveries coming up next. And later in the show, our Niki Lattarulo will catch you up on what was a busy day for Baylor athletics, including an inside look at what happened at the football Big 12 championship game. We will be right back. Welcome back. We are just 18 days away from Christmas, and it's an all-out mad dash to get those gifts shipped across the country. But there's currently a shortage of sorters, packers, and delivery drivers. So does this mean trouble for your packages this holiday season? NBC's Joe Ling Kent investigates.
'Tis the season for giving. Retailers and delivery companies working overtime to get your orders shipped to you on time. With a record $143.8 billion expected to be spent online this holiday season, they're battling to keep up with demand. Amazon says they're working hard after previous shipping delays due to a record-breaking start to the holiday season and recent winter storms. Another big problem, a shortage of workers. Friday's jobs report revealed there are more than 1 million positions that remain unfilled.
What we still see is job openings outpacing overall ability to fill the jobs.
The worker shortage is extending from Main Street retailers to the open road. A record 60,000 truck driver jobs are waiting to be filled.
The most acute labor shortages are actually in these sort of temporary holiday hires because people already have permanent jobs. We're starting to see really this movement to online hit a tipping point in terms of retail.
UPS has hired nearly 100,000 extra seasonal workers, but tells NBC News that, quote, in some pockets of the country where unemployment is at its lowest, the company still has open seasonal positions. FedEx is hiring 55,000 holiday employees, a 10% increase over last year. Retailers are offering extra pay and perks. Kohl's giving workers a 15% discount on purchases in store. Macy's offering 20%.
Okay, give us 1 minute, okay?
Temporary work can sometimes lead to big things. Sadia Anwar started at Best Buy as a seasonal worker. Now she manages the entire store.
Best Buy has some great perks for seasonal employees. Some of the best perks are actually competitive pay, great employee discount.
With 6 fewer days between Black Friday and Christmas compared to last year, experts suggest ordering early to make sure your packages arrive on time.
Otherwise, you may need to put in an emergency call to Santa and his reindeer. For today, Jolene Kent, NBC News, Los Angeles.
A big reason for the shortage might just be the strength of the economy. As more people have full-time jobs, fewer people are able to pick up seasonal jobs, like delivering packages. Coming up, Bill is tracking that forecast. Bill, how's it looking out there?
Well, for us, pretty good now, but they're going to continue to have winter weather west, northwest, north, and Great Lakes, and northeast for their shipping problems. Your forecast after the break. Well, our weather pattern is going to continue to be affected by lows coming in off the Pacific and churning into our ridge, going up over the top, gathering cold air and bringing it into Texas. We also opened the door on some eastern Pacific moisture. As it gets close, Gulf moisture, so we get to talk rain on this forecast. That'll be upcoming with the next system. A little bit of cirrus today, and that has been about it. Your high temperatures were pleasant, generally in the 60s, a couple 70s south and southwest, and the temperatures now dropping down through the 50s into the 40s. We'll cool tonight into the 40s. There will be a few low 40s by morning. We may see a little patchy fog in the morning just briefly. We've got a southerly wind coming in over the top of the cool air. 46 to start. 75, generally a gusty day tomorrow and warm. We'll be in the 70s. Then we'll shift the winds on Monday, that cold front coming in. It'll still be kind of warm, but it'll cool briefly. Then we go into a wet pattern to bring us Monday into Tuesday, but that ends. And then we're very cold with open skies and brisk north winds down the freeze mark to start Wednesday. Middle 30s and frosty to start Thursday, and then we just kind of go mild after cool nights. And that's your forecast.
All right, Bill, you know what? I'm from Seattle. Doesn't mean I want Seattle's weather. I want that sunshine back. Well, when we come back, we kicked our Niki Lattarulo out the door and up to Waco. She joins us live from the campus of Baylor to catch us up on what was a very busy day in sports. We'll do that next.
Well, the Baylor Bears' hopes of a spot in the college football playoff came to a close this afternoon in Arlington in the Big 12 title game. They did claw back from a 10-0 deficit behind third-string quarterback Jacob Zeno, but unfortunately for the Bears, it was not enough as the Sooners took the Big 12 title by a score of 30-23 in overtime. Sports director Nick Canizales and Curtis Quillen were with the Bears at AT&T Stadium and have more, guys.
Well, Niki, the Baylor Bears have been balanced on both sides of the football all season long, but when their offense struggled this afternoon, their defense picked up the slack but had a face mask penalty in overtime. That helped Oklahoma cruise to a 7-point victory. Well, Baylor started the game like they do every time, not giving up any type of points in their opponent's opening drive. Now the Bears have only allowed 6 points on 13 opening drives this season. Phil Snow's defense held quarterback Jalen Hurts to a season-low 38 yards rushing on 23 carries. Now, as a whole, they held the Sooners to a season-low 433 yards of total offense. Now, with Jordan Williams' second quarter interception, the Bears now have 17 on the season, the most since 2013.
They made some key interceptions when it mattered, and I think that made them, start to run the ball a little more. I mean, to hold Oklahoma to 23 points in regulation, I don't think anybody's done that in a while. And so I thought our defense played great.
I don't think many people realize in the country that this team is the toughest in the country because we've been through more than anybody that you can ever imagine. The things that we've gone through our freshman year, things that have been said to us, people just thinking that we just don't belong here. So it made us have that little chip on our shoulder and make people realize like who we are. and it made us work, and it wasn't enough today, but it will be soon enough.
Well, Curtis, the top 3 quarterbacks on the roster played tonight. That's in part because Charlie Brewer went out with an injury.
Yeah, and from there, redshirt freshman Gary Bohannon came in and shined for 2.5 quarters, as he's done several times this season, as Brewer's been banged up several times. But a knee injury suffered in the Kansas game last week lingered, bothered him today, and then Jacob Zeno, the true freshman out of San Antonio, entered the game, and on the second play he saw, Baylor found pay dirt. All in all, though, the Bears' offense was not very good today. Brewer never got a pass off. Bohannon and Zeno combined for 6 of 21 passing for 230 yards and 2 scores, and they only added 35 yards on the ground. But the poise of Zeno and Bohannon together to get this game into overtime, in one word, the Sooners outgained Baylor by 168 yards, shows that Matt Rule's going to have some decisions to make because he has 3 incredibly capable quarterbacks on the roster to lead this offense. That's after Zeno played scout team as a safety and as Jalen Hurts all week. And Rule said after the game, he frankly wasn't sure what they were getting into when he came off the sideline.
Well, I couldn't sit here and tell you I thought he could. I mean, I have confidence in him. Just that's who we were down to. You know, Gary was hurting. He was hurt all week. He was trying to get it out, really couldn't move. And, you know, if you put a guy out there who can't move, he's eventually going to get hurt.
Rule also mentioned in his post-game press conference he was sad to have to pull Brewer from the game, especially on this stage because, quote, he's one of the main reasons we're here. Now, I imagine Rule will turn back to Brewer once Charlie is healthy, but he's got the dream situation. He's got 3 quarterbacks who are more than capable of leading this offense, especially on a stage as big as today.
And here's the great thing. For fans out there, they're both freshmen.
Yeah.
So they have a long ways to stay in Baylor.
Bohannon's got 3 years left, and Zeno has 4.
It's crazy. Of course, coming up on Sunday, the bowl selection show. We think that Baylor will probably go to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans on New Year's Day. You never know about this bowl selection show. You never know what the committee might do. There's still a Cotton Bowl, Alamo Bowl, so we'll figure out tomorrow on where Baylor is going. Of course, we'll hear from Matt Rule coming up tomorrow as well. We're here at AT&T Stadium, the site of the Big 12 Championship. Niki, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Well, guys, I'm actually not here in the studio. I'm in the Ferrell Center, which is even better of a studio. But let's switch gears to UMHB. The Crusaders hosted Wisconsin, Whitewater, and Belton this afternoon in the NCAA Division III quarterfinals. Going into this game, UMHB had won 15 consecutive playoff games on home turf, but that was not the case today. The Crusaders were outplayed in all 3 phases of the game. They had just 143 yards of total offense, while the Warhawks had 358. Possessing the ball for 42 minutes of the game, leaving the ball in the hands of the Crew for just 17 minutes. Quarterback Jace Hammock passed 16 of 28 for 143 yards, which means none of the Crusaders' yards came rushing as their season ended, falling to the Warhawks 26-7. And guys, now let's just talk about why I'm actually here tonight standing in the Ferrell Center. That's because the #1 seeded Baylor volleyball team hosted USC in the second round of the NCAA tournament. They got to this round by beating Sacred Heart, sweeping Sacred Heart right here last night. And for the first time since 2009, the Bears will compete in the Sweet 16. And because they are the #1 seed, they will continue to host the tournament here in the Ferrell Center. The Bears struggled in set 1, but came out on top 25-23. They then took the second set by a score of 25-17, and then finally they won the third and final set by a score of 25-22, completing the sweep for the second straight night. Yassiana Presley finished the match with 12 kills, while Hannah Locken had a game-high 36 assists. The Bears will host they will host Purdue next weekend in the Sweet 16, and Shelly Stafford spoke after the match about what this means for her team, and she got emotional.
Not gonna cry. I've gotten Cincy in my last year, but it's just truly super cool. Like we're not done yet. We have a lot of work to be done, and we just have a lot to learn from wins like these. So yeah, it's huge, and I'm super excited to see what's next for us.
So like I said, they will host Purdue at some point next weekend. And I know it seems like there's a lot going on in sports, but there was also a top 25 basketball matchup right here in the Ferrell Center this morning as Baylor hosted the University of Arizona. The Arizona Wildcats and the Baylor Bears faced off for the first time since 1997. U of A came in here unbeaten, but the Bears shut that right down. Despite Zona fans outnumbering the green and gold, Scott Drew and his squad went on a 15-0 run early in the first half that led the Bears to their largest lead of the game of 18 points. Freddie Gillespie, Jared Butler, and Masio Teague combined for 49 of the Bears' 63 total points. 17 for Gillespie was a career high for him, adding 12 rebounds for his fourth double-double of the season. The Bears shot 30% from the field, but that low percentage didn't matter as the defense held the Wildcats to their lowest field goal percentage in the Sean Miller era. Baylor wins their second game versus a ranked opponent this season, rolling past U of A 63-58, the final from Waco. And we end tonight with Lampasas and Liberty Hill meeting for the second time this season, this time in the state quarterfinals. Lampasas quarterback Ace Whitehead has accounted for 65 total touchdowns this season. He'd add that early and often in this one. Then Lampasas and Liberty Hill met for the second time this season, like I said, but this time the Badgers rolled 49-34 and into the semis for the first time since 1986. So guys, that was just a huge day filled with sports and its thoughts on. We have more coming up for you guys tomorrow, but for now, reporting from Waco, I'm Niki Lattarulo, 6 Sports.
That'll do it for us. That's Bill. I'm Bary. Good night.